Greetings and welcome to another impressions video here at Words About Games, and today we're going to be looking at Red Dead Redemption 2. This is probably one of the most realistic, immersive open worlds that a video game has to offer. I'm opening with this right out of the gate because it's the most important point to note about Red Dead Redemption 2. For all I'm about to do breaking down its gameplay mechanics, narrative trappings, and various other bits and bobs, it's crucial to note that this is a world that is so incredibly easy to get lost in, no matter what you're doing. Whether you're lured in by how alive the world and its inhabitants feel, how authentic it is, its sheer beauty, or how incredibly satisfying it feels to simply exist in, Red Dead Redemption 2's open world is a triumph. There are quests, challenges, and a critical mission path to follow, with plenty of icons for things to see and do in the game, but it feels like so much more than that. Exploring Red Dead Redemption 2's world gives me a feeling I've very rarely had in other games, that exploration for its own sake is the ultimate goal of the game, rather than following quest markers or checking off challenges on a list. Let me use an example to encapsulate how I feel about this world. About 6 hours into the game, my horse decided to wander into the path of a moving train, leaving me stranded in the middle of nowhere on foot, and I'll get to the game's AI momentarily. In any other game, I'd have two options: fast travel to the nearest town or hoof it back on foot. In Red Dead Redemption 2, I had only the second option, and proceeded to make the long journey to a ranch I passed about a mile back to hopefully find a horse or a stagecoach to get me back to Valentine. This should have been a frustrating experience, and to be honest it kinda was for a bit. The woefully suicidal horse AI had trapped me far enough away from civilization that I needed to spend a chunk of my game time simply running through the game world. Instead, this ended up turning out to be one of the most memorable stretches of my time with Red Dead Redemption 2. Setting off towards the ranch, I spotted some wild horses over a hill. Thinking I could maybe tame one and get back on my way, I spent the next 20 minutes unsuccessfully chasing them across the countryside, eventually giving up when I realised I was being led further and further away from my destination. As I resumed my long journey, I came across a decrepit abandoned cabin and decided to explore. When I entered, I was immediately confronted with skeletons. One sat at a desk and about 8 others lying in beds. This was a suicide cult, as I'd come to learn from the note on the desk, which I read as ominous music hummed in the background. After taking whatever valuable food was lying around, I carried on. This event, if you can even call it that, wasn't part of a side quest, nor was its location marked on the map. There was no reward or incentive for finding it, it was just a part of the world. It had no impact on my gameplay, save for grabbing a few supplies, but it was one of the most memorable things to happen to me in my 10 hours with the game. It's these touches that make Red Dead Redemption 2's world feel so dynamic and alive. You can ignore every story beat, side quest, and challenge, and simply explore and live in the world, and still find a compelling experience. Strangers approaching you for help, finding an unfortunate horse wrangler, being attacked by someone you failed to help earlier in the game. Red Dead Redemption 2 does a phenomenal job of presenting a living world, one that you feel a part of, rather than one that feels like it exists solely for your benefit. That alone is worth the price of admission, and I haven't felt this sense of wonder, this pull to simply explore, in a very long time. While this is an amazing experience, Red Dead Redemption 2 is definitely not a perfect game. Moving protagonist Arthur Morgan feels like a tank trying to navigate across an ice lake. It's most notable when you're indoors or when you're trying to move between cover during gunfights, but honestly, it feels like he's permanently stoned. It's not helped by some stodgy default controls that can and should be changed in the menu at your earliest convenience, with some strangely awkward default button mapping. It's like this all across the gameplay for me. While the world, characters, and stories you find are all wonderful, there are a lot of minor annoyances in the core moment-to-moment gameplay to contend with to even get to these moments. Combat is imprecise and wholly unsatisfying, aiming feels floaty, and the movement issues are compounded when it's difficult to effectively switch between cover during heated gunfights. I've stopped with looting altogether for the most part, thanks to how long the animation takes to complete. Looting during combat is usually an instant death sentence, and whenever I look out at a field of corpses to loot after some action, I just can't bring myself to take the ridiculously lengthy amount of time to search everyone's pockets. I've got better things to do than spend upwards of 5 minutes realistically looting the dozen or more bodies of my fallen enemies. The same goes for horse grooming and the entirely convoluted course system that governs health and stamina, which has far too much going on. It's like Red Dead Redemption 2 doesn't respect my time. It's all well and good crafting a realistic world, but that realism often gets in the way of letting you do the fun things the game has to offer. I don't really want to have to keep stopping to groom my horse, or be limited to carrying a single animal carcass when I'm out hunting, or be stranded in the middle of nowhere because the dumbass horse AI runs directly into a tree at full speed because I turned on cinematic mode to make the 8-minute journey to my next destination a little more tolerable. I don't hate Red Dead Redemption 2, I still think it's a great game and I'm absolutely 100% invested in exploring its magnificent world and meeting its fantastic cast of characters, and I want to listen to its stunning soundtrack all the time. But I can't ignore its many small frustrations, which can build up over an extended session of play. There's a lot to love here. I'd even go so far as to say that this world is one of the best a video game has to offer. But it comes with the caveat that there are a great deal of gameplay and design decisions that feel like they're doing their level best to annoy me whenever I actually try to interact with it. Thank you very much for watching this video, guys. If you've enjoyed it, please keep it here at Words About Games. We've got tons of content, including our weekly podcast, more impressions videos, patch notes, and our weekly indie game of the week. We also stream over on Twitch at twitch.tv/wordsaboutgames every Monday, Thursday, and Saturday. And most importantly, have a great day.